Rimuru x Arifureta. Fragments of Soul to be the Strongest by Rimu_Kai. Chapter 25 Brothers in power. A vast ocean of golden dunes stretched endlessly beneath the blinding sun, rolling waves of sand shifting like a restless sea. The air shimmered with heat, and the wind howled in a relentless symphony, whipping up thick clouds of dust that obscured the horizon. The sky, once a brilliant blue, was now veiled in a storm of swirling sand, reducing visibility to mere meters. It was a land of merciless heat, where the sun bore down like an oppressive tyrant, and the grains of sand, carried by the relentless wind, bit at exposed skin like tiny razors. Yet, cutting through this endless desert, a massive, armored vehicle rumbled forward, defying the storm's fury. The Ven-like vehicle, a mechanical beast reinforced with thick plating, rolled effortlessly over the treacherous terrain, its large wheels built to conquer the loose, shifting sands. Its sleek yet rugged design spoke of efficiency and power, a machine made to dominate the unforgiving landscape. Inside, Hajime sat at the helm, one hand on the controls, crimson eyes narrowed in focus as he maneuvered through the storm. His black coat fluttered slightly with the movement of the vehicle, and his expression remained unreadable, calm, cool, and in control. Beside him, Yu sat gracefully, leaning ever so slightly against his shoulder, her eyes half-lidded as if the raging storm outside didn't concern her in the slightest. Next to her, Kaori sat stiffly, her hands gripping the seat as if she were afraid of being flung out at any moment. She stole quick glances at Yu, her lips pressing together as tension radiated off her. And on Kaori's lap sat Myu, the little girl happily swinging her legs, completely oblivious to the silent war between the two women beside her. Behind them, Shay and Tio occupied another seat, with Shay sitting comfortably while Tio stretched, pressing her body against Shay in an overly suggestive manner. Foo, young master's vehicle is so bumpy. If I'm not careful, I might start moaning from the vibrations, Tio purred, her voice dripping with pleasure. Shay sighed. I knew you'd say something like that, Tio. Could you not make everything perverted? Impossible. A dragon's instincts are to be lewd and powerful, foo. Meanwhile, Rimuru sat lazily on the opposite side, exuding an air of arrogance and indifference. In his lap sat Lilith, the small girl clinging tightly to him, her white hair slightly ruffled by the occasional gust that managed to slip into the vehicle. Her red eyes sparkled as she hugged her daddy tightly, pressing her cheek against him. To Rimuru's left, Shizuku sat close, her arm wrapped around his as if she had no intention of letting go. To his right, Elena mirrored the action, both women leaning into him possessively. Kaori, observing this, suddenly broke the silence. You know, Shizuku, you've really changed. Shizuku blinked. What do you mean? Kaori hesitated, then gestured toward her and Elena. You become really clingy. I never thought you'd act like a mother figure, but here you are, practically glued to Rimuru. Shizuku's cheeks reddened slightly, but she recovered quickly. What, am I not allowed to be affectionate? Elena smirked. Besides, what's wrong with sticking close to the man we love? Kaori groaned. I just never thought I'd see Shizuku like this. Rimuru, sensing an opportunity, lazily stroked Lilith's hair. Ho, does that mean you're jealous, Kaori? Kaori stiffened. What? No, Lilith giggled. Auntie Kaori is jealous. Tio let out an exaggerated moan. Ah, jealousy, it's such a delicious emotion. Would you like to join us, Kaori? I'm sure Master Rimuru wouldn't mind having another beautiful woman clinging to him, foo. Kaori scowled. No way. Before Kaori could protest further, Yu sighed dramatically. Just admit it. You're jealous because you can't cling to Hajime like that. Kaori immediately turned to Yu, her face flushing. That's not it, and I am not a loli who clings to Hajime all the time like you. Yu smirked. Deny it all you want, but we all know the truth. Kaori's eye twitched. I'm not jealous, and I'm not a child. Tio let out a dreamy sigh. Ah, but wouldn't it be lovely if Master Hajime took you in his arms like a helpless maiden? Shay chuckled. Well, you do seem pretty helpless around him, Kaori. Hajime sighed. Can you guys not gang up on her all at once? Shizuku tilted her head. But it's fun, Elena chuckled. Indeed. Rimuru smirked. It's hilarious. Kaori groaned, sinking into her seat. Why am I always the one being teased? Yu, sensing her victory, leaned back. Give up already. You can't win over Hajime's heart. Kaori shot back up. Yes, I can. I know Hajime better than anyone. Hajime, without hesitation, deadpanned, no, that would be Rimuru and you. Silence. Kaori's mouth opened, then closed. Yu blinked in surprise. Shizuku and Elena glanced at each other with knowing smiles. Tio giggled. Shei's ears twitched. Then, what? Kaori shrieked. Yu pouted, fair, but still rude. Kaori clenched her fists. I'm not losing to anyone. Yu smirked. Then try. Before their argument could escalate further, Yu suddenly tugged at Kaori's sleeve. Big sis Yu, big sis Kaori, stop fighting, both women immediately froze. Yu pouted. I don't like seeing you fight, Shei nodded, crossing her arms. She's right. You two should behave. Be good examples for Yu and Lilith. Lilith, still in Rimuru's lap, nodded sagely. Mommy Shizuku and Mommy Elena never fight. Why can't you be more like them? Both Yu and Kaori turned their gazes toward Rimuru, Shizuku, and Elena. At that moment, Lilith reached up and kissed Rimuru's cheek. Daddy is the best. Shizuku and Elena, with matching smirks, each kissed one side of Rimuru's face. That's right, they said in unison. Yu and Kaori twitched. That's so unfair, Kaori muttered. Yu sighed. Agreed. Both turned to Yu and let out reluctant sighs. Sorry, Yu, they said in unison. Mayu's face lit up with joy. Yay! Big sis Yu and big sis Kaori made up. Tio smirked. Ah, a touching moment. But if we're being affectionate, why not let me demonstrate true passion? Fufufu, young master, I offer my bosom for comfort anytime. Hajime ignored her. Let's just focus on getting through the desert. Rimuru chuckled. Yes, let's. I'd rather not listen to more of your thirst, Tio. Tio gasped. Such cruelty, but it only fuels my desire more. Elena rolled her eyes. Hopeless. Shizuku sighed, beyond saving. Shei laughed. At least she's consistent. As the vehicle rolled forward through the sandstorm, the chaotic family dynamic continued. Teasing, rivalry, and affection all mixed together as they pressed onward. As Hajime drove the vehicle through the endless desert, the sun burned fiercely overhead, casting long shadows over the dunes. The monotonous journey was only broken by the occasional bump or the shifting of sand beneath the tires. Everything seemed peaceful, until a soft, squishy sensation landed on Hajime's head. Fufufu, young master, Tio cooed, pressing her large, very ample chest onto the top of Hajime's head from behind his seat. It appears that there is something up ahead. Hajime twitched, his grip tightening on the wheel. Oi, get your damn. Before he could finish, he saw it. A massive group of sandworms clustered together in the distance, their grotesque, writhing bodies half buried in the dunes. Normally, sandworms attacked anything that moved, yet these creatures weren't lunging at them. They were just standing there. Elena frowned, her sharp eyes scanning the scene. That's odd. Why are those sandworms just waiting like that? Shouldn't they be eating whatever they found? Tio finally pulled away from Hajime's head, though she giggled when she felt his lingering warmth. She purred before clearing her throat. Ahem. Normally, such creatures only gather like this when they have found a source of prey. But they are not eating. That is what troubles me, young master. Hajime narrowed his eyes. Is that normal? No, you said simply. Her golden eyes locked onto the distant creatures. It's not. Yu and Lilith both leaned forward in their seats, gripping the edges of the dashboard. I don't like big gross worms, Yu whined, clinging to you. They're ugly, Daddy. They're all wiggly and nasty, Lilith added, burying her face in Rimuru's shoulder. Shizuku chuckled, patting Lilith's head. It's okay, Lilith. Your daddy will protect you, as idiotic as he is. Elena smirked. Besides, he wouldn't let anything ugly exist in his presence, except maybe Tio. Tio let out a dramatic gasp, clutching her chest. Huh? How cruel, Elena. Do you not appreciate a woman with beauty and experience? Kaori giggled, rubbing Mayu's back. Don't worry, Myu-chan. Big scary Hajime will protect us from the nasty worms. Shay nodded enthusiastically. That's right. If they even try to come near us, Hajime will just blow them up. Hajime rolled his eyes at the blatant admiration. Alright, enough of that. The real question is, what do we do about them? Tio turned to Hajime, her hands resting on his seat as she leaned forward again, this time pressing her entire body onto his back. Young master, shall we avoid them, or perhaps? Hajime sighed. Tio, if you don't move, I swear. Hey, Hajime, Rimuru suddenly cut in. Hajime groaned. What? Rimuru smirked. Can I kill them? Silence. Hajime turned to stare at him. The others did too. Really? Hajime deadpanned. What? I'm bored, Rimuru shrugged. Yu tilted her head. Hajime. Let him. Shay pumped her fist. Yeah, let's see what happens. Tio licked her lips. Ooh, yes, master, show us your glorious strength. Just imagining you dominating those poor worms, ha. Elena and Shizuku looked at each other before nodding in sync. He's just going to go overboard again, Shizuku muttered. Of course, Elena sighed. Hajime exhaled heavily. Fine, go wild. Lilith cheered. Go. Daddy, smash them all. Myu joined in, bouncing excitedly. Uncle Rimuru is super strong, go go go. Kaori, though, gave Rimuru a skeptical look. Rimuru-kun, you're not planning anything too crazy, are you? He flashed her a charming grin. Oh, just a little game. Before anyone could react, he disappeared, vanishing from his seat in an instant. Wait, Rimuru? Hajime barely had time to react before he slammed his foot on the brakes. At the same time, Rimuru reappeared above them, high in the sky, defying gravity with an impossible leap. The entire group stared in shock. Shay's rabbit ears shot straight up. He just jumped how high? Shizuku rubbed her forehead. Here we go again. Elena grinned. This should be fun. Meanwhile, in mid-air, Rimuru summoned his weapon. A massive black sword materialized in his hands, swirling with chaotic energy. With a single, fluid motion, he raised it above his head, and swung downward. A crescent-shaped slash erupted from the blade, cutting through the very air itself. The sky split in half. The desert shook violently, sand rising in a massive wave as the very earth cracked apart. The sandworms never stood a chance. The moment the slash touched the ground, everything within its path was erased. The worms, the dunes, even the clouds above were cut in half. The aftermath left a gaping canyon where the creatures had once been, the air heavy with raw, lingering power. A moment of absolute silence followed, then Kaori's jaw dropped. That's, you simply muttered, ridiculous. Hajime crossed his arms. Damn idiot. Shay whistled. Now that's overkill. Shizuku just facepalmed. He's impossible. Elena smirked, watching the scene unfold. And we love him for it. Tio, meanwhile, was panting. Ha, such dominance, such raw, unmatched power. Myu and Lilith clapped excitedly. Daddy is the strongest, Lilith cheered. Uncle Rimuru is so cool, Myu added. Inside Rimuru's mind, Azra's voice echoed. Master, why did you use half your power on that slash? Rimuru's eyes narrowed slightly as he landed softly on the ground. Because I need more power, Azra. I need to keep training. The next time I meet Lilora, I need to be strong enough to defeat her. I'll do my best then, Master. Meanwhile, Hajime pulled the vehicle up next to Rimuru, shaking his head. I swear, you're more trouble than you're worth. Rimuru grinned. You like it? Elena leaned out of the vehicle. Okay, Mr. Show-off, anything left of those worms? Rimuru pointed at something. By the way, there's a guy lying unconscious over there. The group turned to see a man lying in the sand, unmoving. Hajime narrowed his eyes. Not our problem. Kaori, predictably, gasped. Hajime, we have to help him. Yu sighed. Hajime. Let's at least check. Hajime groaned. Fine. The group disembarked, leaving only Shizuku, Elena, Shay, Myu, and Lilith inside the vehicle. As they approached the unconscious man, Rimuru smirked to himself. He still had a long way to go, but for now, this was enough. The unconscious man lay on the scorching sand, his breathing erratic, sweat drenching his tattered clothes. Kaori knelt beside him, pressing her palm against his forehead while checking his status plate. Her eyes widened in alarm. "Mana overload, it's classified as a poison," she murmured. Rimuru crossed his arms, raising an eyebrow. "Mana overload? What does that even mean?" Kaori turned to him, her face filled with concern. "It's a condition where excess mana builds up in the body, causing internal damage. If left untreated, it can rupture organs, collapse the nervous system, or even lead to death." Yu narrowed her crimson eyes. "Too much mana, how foolish." Hajime clicked his tongue. TCH. The guy was reckless. Tio, despite her usual lewd tendencies, examined the man seriously. "This is quite unfortunate, master. If left untreated, his life will fade within minutes. Should we put him out of his misery?" Rimuru sighed, scratching his head. "Is there a way to heal him?" Kaori hesitated but then nodded. "Maybe. I can try purifying the excess mana and stabilizing his condition." She tightened her grip on her staff, beginning to chant. A soft golden light enveloped the man as Kaori channeled her holy magic. Her voice was gentle, filled with hope. But the light flickered. The spell resisted. The man's breathing remained unstable. "It's not working," Kaori gasped. Rimuru let out another sigh. "Of course. Figures it wouldn't be that easy." He stepped forward, raising a hand. "All right. I'll handle it." The air around him distorted as he uttered a single command. "Beelzebub." A massive black vortex swirled to life, tendrils of void-like energy latching onto the man. His excess mana was pulled from his body, dissolving into nothingness. The suffocating aura that had threatened his life vanished instantly. The only ones who seemed to notice the unnatural phenomenon were Yu and Tio, both observing Rimuru with sharp eyes. Hajime immediately stepped forward, tense. "Oi, what the hell was that? You were about to devour him." Kaori blinked, only now realizing what had happened. "Wait, that power, it's named after a demon." Yu tilted her head slightly, watching Rimuru with a knowing gaze. "It wasn't normal absorption. You erased the root cause." Tio licked her lips. Such a powerful technique. "Master, you truly are merciless yet elegant. It makes this dragon shiver with excitement." Rimuru shot her a look of pure exasperation. "Not now, Tio." Turning away from the weird dragon woman, he refocused on the unconscious man. His senses twitched. Something else lurked beneath the sand. TCH, annoying pests. Raising his hand again, he uttered the same word, Beelzebub. Dozens of large, grotesque sandworms burst from beneath the dunes, screeching, but before they could attack, the void consumed them entirely. Not even a trace remained. Inside his mind, Rimuru consulted Azra. "How much strength did I gain from that?" Azra, her voice as cold as ever, responded. "A mere 5% increase. Hardly worth mentioning." Rimuru sighed. "Lame." Kaori quickly shook off her shock. "Let's bring him to the vehicle." Hajime frowned. "Why bother? He'll just slow us down." Kaori glared. "Hajime, we're not leaving him here." Hajime crossed his arms, unimpressed. "I don't see how this is our problem." Kaori refused to back down. "We save lives when we can." Hajime sighed, rubbing his temple. "Fine." They lifted the man into the vehicle, and just as they secured him, his eyes fluttered open. "Did I die?" His gaze landed on Kaori, and his face instantly brightened. "Ah? A goddess? Have I ascended?" Hajime immediately kicked him in the side. "You're not dead, idiot, now sit up." The man groaned, rubbing his ribs. "Ow, what kind of afterlife is this?" His eyes darted between everyone in confusion. "Wait, who are you people?" 5 minutes later, seated next to Kaori, the man properly introduced himself. "My name is Bais Feiward Zengen, son of the Duke of Ankaji. I was on my way to Highlight Kingdom to seek aid. My city is suffering from a polluted oasis, causing a deadly disease." "Polluted oasis?" Hajime asked, frowning. Bais nodded gravely. "Yes. Our water source is poisoned, and the only cure is methyl water, which can only be found in Gruen volcano." Hajime leaned back with a scoff. "Sounds like a pain." Rimuru shrugged. "Not my problem. Shizuku crossed her arms. You do realize we're passing by that city, right? Elena nodded. Are we really just going to ignore this? Shay pouted. Aren't we heroes? This is a perfect side quest. Yu, ever composed, simply said, "MYU would want to help." Lilith, sitting on Rimuru's lap, tugged his sleeve. Daddy, we should help them. Rimuru paused. His resistance crumbled instantly. TCH, fine, if my little princess says so. MYU latched onto Hajime's arm. Papa, let's help too. Hajime exhaled slowly. Damn it, fine. Baize, overwhelmed by their generosity, clasped his hands together. This must be the choice of the gods. The moment those words left Baize's lips, the entire vehicle was filled with an ominous purple aura. The air grew heavy. Everyone instinctively turned to Rimuru, who sat deathly still, his eyes shadowed. The intensity of his presence was suffocating. Shizuku stiffened. Rimuru, Elena frowned. This aura. Lilith, confused, reached up to touch his cheek. Daddy, why are you mad? Instantly, Rimuru's aura shifted. The overwhelming wrath was replaced by a gentle warmth, his expression softening as he looked down at Lilith. He stroked her hair. I'm not mad. Sweetheart. Lilith tilted her head. Then why were you so angry? Rimuru sighed, his voice quiet yet heavy. Because someone mentioned God, like it was a good thing. Silence filled the vehicle. Shizuku and Elena exchanged glances, understanding the depth of his hatred. Yu and Shay remained quiet, knowing the pain associated with deities. Hajime sighed. TCH. I get it. Kaori, new to this kind of tension, shifted uncomfortably. As for Baize, he was pale, trembling, and gripping his seat for dear life. His mind screamed at him that this man, no, this being, was not human. Rimuru leaned back, expression blank again. Whatever. Let's just get to Enkaji already. The atmosphere lightened, and the vehicle roared forward toward their next destination. Demon Castle. The sky above the Demon Castle pandemonium churned with swirling black clouds, illuminated only by the violent crackle of crimson lightning. The air was thick with an oppressive energy, a weight pressing down upon all who dared to stand before the ominous fortress. Towering spires, jagged and twisted like the fangs of a monstrous beast, jutted toward the heavens. The walls, forged from obsidian black stone, pulsed with eerie red veins of corrupted mana, as though the castle itself was alive, breathing, watching, waiting. Within the grand hall, where shadows twisted unnaturally and an ever-present chill lingered, Freed Bagua, supreme commander of the demon army, stood. His long red hair cascaded down his back like flowing blood, his sharp black eyes locked onto the flickering torches that barely illuminated the chamber. He felt uneasy, a sensation foreign to him. Something was coming. And then, a powerful surge of energy erupted beside him. A crackling, spiraling teleportation circle formed on the dark marble floor, sending gusts of infernal wind through the chamber. From within the light, a figure emerged, a tall man with long blonde hair and piercing blood-red eyes. His presence alone was suffocating, radiating raw fury barely restrained beneath a composed exterior. His long coat billowed slightly as he stepped forward, his gaze instantly locking onto Freed. Mikhail, Catalya's lover. His aura was sharp, dangerous, unstable. Even Freed, the demon army's supreme commander, felt a momentary tension upon seeing the blonde demon. Mikhail's voice was calm but laced with something sinister. Why did you summon me, Feria? From the darkness, Feria, a high-ranking demon noble, stepped forward. His violet eyes glowed under the dim torchlight as she inclined her head slightly in acknowledgement of his presence. But there was no softness in her expression, only cold calculation. I called you here to inform you, Shish said, his voice measured, that Catalya is dead. Silence. For a single, agonizing second, time itself seemed to stop. And then, what? The room trembled. The torches flickered violently, their flames nearly snuffed out by the sheer force of Mikhail's presence. His blood-red eyes darkened. His fists clenched so tightly that his gloves audibly strained. The pressure in the air turned suffocating. Freed instinctively took a step back. Mikhail's voice was a whisper, a deadly, venomous whisper. When did this happen? Feria did not flinch. She was in the Orca's labyrinth. Her mission was to eliminate the hero and his party. But, an unknown individual interfered. Mikhail's jaw tightened, his fangs bared. And who was this unknown individual? Farius' expression darkened. We don't know for certain. But there are two possibilities, unknown and Taiti. A low, animalistic growl escaped Mikhail's throat. His rage was barely contained, his power itching to be unleashed. But before he could demand further answers, Faria continued. Lady Lilora and Lord Belzar were sent to assist her. Even I was prepared to go there. But before they could save her, our master summoned them back, prioritizing their safety over Catalya's fate. Mikhail's breath hitched. They left her to die? Farius' gaze remained unwavering. It was not our decision. The room shook violently. Mikhail's rage exploded like a wildfire. She was everything to me. And you tell me they abandoned her? Just as he was about to unleash his full wrath, another teleportation circle formed. The room grew deathly silent. From the blinding light, Lilora and Belzar stepped forward. Mikhail and Faria immediately fell to one knee. Welcome back, Lady Lilora, Lord Belzar. Lilora, a tall woman with an ethereal beauty, gave a slight nod, her red hair cascading down, her eyes glowing faintly under the dim torchlight. Belzar, however, ignored them completely. His towering frame radiated raw power, his expression unreadable. Mikhail, still kneeling, took a slow breath before speaking. Lady Lilora, may I ask a question? Before Lilora could respond, Belzar's eyes snapped toward him, his deep, rumbling voice laced with irritation. TCH. You dare question Lilora? Know your place, whelp. The air crackled with tension. Mikhail's fingers twitched, but before the situation could escalate, Lilora raised a delicate hand. Belzar. Her voice was calm but absolute. Enough. Belzar exhaled sharply before crossing his arms, though he still glared at Mikhail with disdain. Lilora turned her attention back to Mikhail. Go ahead. Ask your question. Mikhail's expression remained tense. Who exactly killed Catalya? Lilora's gaze darkened slightly. We do not know for certain. We were summoned before she died. But, she paused. It was either Demon Lord Rimuru or another individual. Belzar scoffed. That person's name was Hajime. Mikhail's eyes narrowed. I see. Faria, still kneeling, gritted his teeth. Her voice was low, venomous. Someone else dares hold the title of Demon Lord. His eyes flashed dangerously, and the room darkened further. But before she could say more, Lilora suddenly turned her head slightly, casting a shadow over her face. Her golden eyes glowed ominously beneath the darkness. Do not seek a fight. Mikhail tensed. Is that person truly that strong? Lilora's voice was chillingly calm. Yes, but that is not the reason. I said, do not fight him. Faria narrowed his eyes. And why is that? Lilora's expression remained unreadable. And then, she gave them a chilling smirk. Because he is my prey. Silence. Mikhail's fingers twitched. Faria's lips parted slightly in realization. And then, Belzar exhaled heavily. Keep that in mind. His voice was grave, unwavering. That person is a match for Lilora in her current body. Mikhail stiffened. Faria's eyes widened slightly. But, Belzar continued, a smirk forming, he would not stand a chance if she used her true body. Lilora chuckled softly. We will see about that. Her tone was playful, yet laced with something unsettling. She turned, beginning to walk toward the grand doors of the chamber. Belzar followed, his heavy steps echoing ominously. And just before leaving, Lilora paused. Her next words sent a shockwave through the room. After all, that Rimuru is his brother. Mikhail's eyes widened. Faria inhaled sharply. Lilora's smirk deepened. I don't mind playing with dear Rimuru for a bit. With those final, ominous words, Lilora and Belzar disappeared into the shadows. The grand chamber of the demon castle pandemonium fell into a suffocating silence after Lilora and Belzar left. The air, thick with tension, seemed to vibrate with the weight of the conversation that had just transpired. The oppressive presence of Mikhail, still seething with barely contained rage, hung heavily in the room, his fists still clenched. Faria, the dark noble, slowly stood from his kneeling position, his movements deliberate, as if calculating each step. His mind was still processing the startling revelation. Mikhail, likewise, rose, his fiery gaze never leaving the spot where Lilora had just stood. So, it's Rimuru and Hajime who killed Catalya. Mikhail's voice was low, filled with a deadly intent. He clenched his fists, his blood-red eyes burning with rage. I'll make them pay for this. Feria glanced at Mikhail, his expression unreadable. Indeed. But for now, you will stay here. Mikhail's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Feria's tone shifted, cold and commanding. I'm heading to the Gruin Great Volcano Labyrinth. There, I will acquire another Age of Gid spell, something that will strengthen me further. It'll be more than enough to deal with those two. He paused for a moment, his eyes narrowing. As for Rimuru and Hajime, I'll take them down once I return. Mikhail's eyes narrowed in concern. But, Lady Lilora and Sir Belzar specifically told us not to fight them. They said that Rimuru is a dangerous prey. Feria chuckled darkly, the sound low and sinister. Do you honestly think that a proud demon like myself will heed the orders of a dragon? Or any other being for that matter? No, I will do as I see fit. His gaze became more intense, and he moved closer to Mikhail. I'm not concerned with their warnings. It doesn't matter. I'll handle it in my own way. Mikhail clenched his fists again, his thoughts a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. He wanted revenge. Wanted to avenge Catalya, his beloved. But at the same time, he knew the weight of Lilora's warning. Still, there was something in Feria's words that stirred something within him. His pride, his desire for vengeance, it all pushed him toward action. Mikhail let out a breath, his voice more controlled now. I'll do my best, Feria. I'll protect the castle while you're gone. Feria gave a slight nod, acknowledging Mikhail's loyalty. Good. See to it that the castle is secure. No one is to interfere with my mission. With that, Mikhail turned, his footsteps heavy as he exited the chamber. His mind was racing. The mention of Rimuru and Hajime, the ones who killed Catalya, filled him with a burning resolve. He would make them pay, no matter the cost. His heart pounded in his chest, and every part of him screamed for revenge. As the door clicked shut behind Mikhail, Feria remained in the center of the room, staring into the darkness. He sighed deeply, as if releasing a great weight from his shoulders. So, he is his brother, huh? Feria muttered to himself, the words barely audible. He wasn't referring to blood, of course, not in the literal sense. No, what he meant was that this brother was likely a force to be reckoned with, a being of power who stood at the same level, or higher. Feria's thoughts were a storm of strategies and possibilities. He couldn't deny the strength of the one known as Rimuru, nor the danger of Hajime, the hero who had become an anomaly of his own. But that was all part of the plan. He would find a way to use this new information to his advantage. A dark smile spread across his lips. I don't know what he plans for you, Feria mused aloud, referring to the unknown figure that had intrigued him for so long. But I can get rid of this brother of yours. No matter who stands in my way. With that, Feria turned and walked toward the exit, the faint echo of his steps resounding through the empty hall. As he passed through the door, his smile lingered, cold and calculating. The game was in motion. And Feria had no intentions of losing. == To be continued ==